Welcome back to another episode of The Only Playbook. Episode 25, week 13 is coming to us here in a little over an hour. So another week of football heading our way. Probably sounds still nasally. That's why we're doing virtual. I'm sick, but I'm also in a different state. So we're still doing it though, right? I'm sitting in this random room and with a horrible background, but we out here. So again, the usual suspects. I'm Sweetcar. I got Shishot and Shovit. How are we doing, guys?
We're doing good.
Doing good. Shelby was showing us his backgrounds earlier on his awesome laptop that can afford to change the background with his awesome processor. But yeah, I'm out here with my old laptop that can't handle any power. So I don't have a virtual background. But we got all the information you need. The virtual background is the least of your worries.
Yeah, that's right. And you got your two guitars back there. So, if you ever want to start shredding,
I'm shredding right now. Shredding right now.
It's shredding season, baby. Yeah, I appreciate you guys joining in again. I'm in New York. You guys are in Dallas. You guys are going to be joining me here tomorrow. So that's going to be a ton of fun. We still are not going to miss out on any football, though. Appreciate all the support through social media. If you guys enjoy what you hear from us, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, @TheOnlyPlaybook. Twitter is @OnlyPlaybook. And then we have all the podcast applications, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple. So yeah, appreciate all the support. Leave us a review if you like what you hear. Again, all the subscriptions, all the likes, all that helps spread the word about this podcast. And we want to spread the knowledge to everybody or anybody who wants to hear. So appreciate all that. Shishot, kick us off with the injuries heading into week 13.
I just figured out my survivor pick, by the way, but
hopefully I don't pick it.
You can't pick it.
Damn.
Okay, injuries. So first things first for the game tonight, Alvin Kamara is out again. That's like 4 games he's been out now, right? Is that 3 or 4?
Yeah,
but regardless, it's a big deal because both of the offensive tackles that are all pro are still out as well. Ingram is a full participant, so Ingram's going to be getting all of the carries that Taysom Hill's not getting. Next up, we got Amari Cooper. This is a very confusing situation. He's free from the COVID world, but he's technically not free from the COVID world because apparently he's struggling on the field as of yesterday while practicing. He was like catching his breath. It's like actually affected him. So he was limited and now he's questionable. So he's going to play, but he's going to be on a snap count. So keep track of that. If you got other options, start him. But, Amari Cooper could easily get a 40-yard touchdown pass just to start the game off. So make your decisions wisely there. If you have players like Thielen, you're questioning between Thielen or Cooper, start Thielen. It's a very, very high risk, very low reward situation here with high risk, low reward. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cooper, there's just not enough. He's going to be limited. That's the bottom line here. He's going to be limited.
Give me Thielen against the Lions every single day. I'll take that.
Yeah, for sure. DeMarcus Lawrence is back for the Cowboys, which is huge for that line, which is bad for Alvin Kamara and gang. But again, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Next up, Odell Beckham did not practice, right? But he's expected to play against the Jags. More important news for that game is Darrell Henderson did not practice. He's got a quad injury. There's 2 types of situations that could play out with the quad. It could be a quad contusion, which he would play, right? Or he could have stretched either tendon on either side of the quadriceps muscle, and then he would not be able to play. They have not told us which one it is. And everything is pointing towards him playing, but I'm a little sus because they should have told us he was playing. If it's been, this is taking too long for it to be a quad contusion, because they should have been like, yeah, he practiced fully, blah, 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 blah. But he didn't practice. You can practice with a quad contusion. So despite all the new rumor out there, I picked up Sony Michel because I have nothing to lose. And if Sony Michel does end up playing, it's the Jaguars. He's going to be a must start. So that's a huge that's huge news that they have not told the media on multiple, like ESPN, CBS. No one's talking about if it's significant enough for Henderson to not play. They're all saying he's going to play. So take that with a grain of salt, but I would pick up Sony Michel just for funsies. Corey Davis misses practice 2nd day in a row. Probably doesn't help or hurt anybody with that information. Jalen Hurts is a limited participant. Devonta Smith was a full participant. Howard and Scott did not practice today. Sanders is healthy. That is like the totally backwards of how the season has been going on. So they're bruised up in Eagle land there, but it's good to know Devonta Smith is full and he has a really nice schedule coming up. So that's great for Devon Smith people. Darren Waller, not on the field yesterday. Josh Jacobs, surprise injury report today. He had an ankle injury and he was limited at practice today. We can't go any further with this information until tomorrow. We'll find out if it swells a lot or what the deal is. But it was just a surprise show up on the injury report today. Detroit Lions not expecting Swift back anytime soon. So just remember that. Justin Fields was limited and Allen Robinson is not practicing. So it's the same low-class Bears we saw last week. Jesus. I'm not expecting much out of them, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Sterling Shepard did not practice. Daniel Jones is limited, and Tony did not practice with a quad injury. That's just basic New York Giants stuff for you there.
Giants all year.
Yeah. And then Kyler Murray and D-Hop are looking like they're good to go. It says, according to their head coach, they said, good to go, likely. So that's the best news we've heard in like a month. So, I mean, looks like they're going to be ready to play. Debo, with this random injury he had against the Vikings, he's working on the sidelines, but they expect him to play. Freiermuth, pointing towards playing. He had a concussion. He's cleared. So he's pointing towards playing, is in quotes from what I got today. And then Gordon, running back Gordon for the Broncos, is 50-50 to play on Sunday. It being Thursday and it's still being a 50-50 since he got injured on Sunday. It's a little worrisome. Get somebody back up ready if you have Gordon. McKissick is out. So Gibson running back / wide receiver season is underway.
Gibson owners rejoice. That
for
should be exciting.
For some reason, I'm not excited, but we'll see.
He could be the only back in the backfield and still wouldn't be exciting. Just the way he's running this year. Appreciate that. Again, we'll update you guys heading into Sunday at Only Playbook on Twitter. We'll jump into the games. We have Thursday Night Football here, like we talked about, that's kicking off tonight in about an hour. We get the Cowboys. They're traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Cowboys are coming in at 6-point favorites on the road. 6-point favorites on the road, over under at 46. Man, that's a lot of points on the road. Cowboys coming in with this new offense now with Taysom Hill and Mark Ingram at the helm. But I don't know. I Saints in the Dome seem like still a pretty formidable team. I know the trend hasn't been great the last couple of weeks. Their defense kind of been getting shredded, but I don't know. I think that's too many points. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so DeMarcus Lawrence should be back for the Cowboys this week, tonight, I believe as well. The Saints are just banged up, right? Their offensive tackle is out. Ryan Ramczyk and Taron Armstead, they're both out. So I'm not sure how the Saints are going to score points against against the Dallas Cowboys. They do have a pretty fair defense, but I think that the Cowboys are just going to be too strong for them, and 6 points should be easily covered by the Cowboys, especially when you're playing against Taysom Hill. I mean, there's that question of uncertainty where you don't know what to get out of Taysom Hill, but I'm gonna put my money on the Cowboys covering the spread of 6 points or -6.
Yeah, I feel like the Cowboys will probably take care of business here, even though Saints are a little scary. But if I ask you, which player do you think is most likely to get over 100 yards today? You're probably going to give me all Cowboys names, right? Like there's probably nobody, maybe Ingram is going to be the only one. So just looking at like your inner logic, I don't see how the Saints are going to, do very much here. With who? Is the Cowboys defense for real? Is the Cowboys defense going to get exposed with people like Harris and Callaway? So these are a lot of things to look out for at this point in the season. But one little, glimmer of difference-making hope for the Cowboys. I do see Tony Pollard getting a lot more touches. I think it's Tony Pollard time officially, and they're trying to make Ezekiel Elliott's injury a little bit more serious than it actually is, so they can say we're letting Elliott rest rather than saying, Elliott, you suck, Pollard's going to run. It's like a respect. It's a mutual respect thing. But I anticipate heavy usage of Pollard, maybe not heavy in that sense, but like a lot more than we've been seeing so far.
Another thing to note is Mike McCarthy is also out for COVID in this game. And Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator, is coming in as the head coach. Not sure how that's going to impact the game, but just something to consider when picking the teams here.
No head coach, man. No head coach on the road in the Superdome, and you're 6-point favorites, and you're the Cowboys, who are notorious for big letdowns. I'm calling sus. Give me the Saints +6 this game. We'll see what happens, but nonetheless, fantasy implications should be pretty good. The Cowboys should feast. I mean, Dak and CD is healthy now, so CD should be back and going. And I don't know. I expect Dalton Schultz. I saw earlier Dalton Schultz for first touchdown score was +1,000. And I was like, that's pretty decent value for a tight end who they look in the red zone for at times for +1,000. So something to keep your eye on. But Cowboys are 7-4. They're looking to solidify that NFC East. The Saints are 5-6, looking to climb back into wild card contention there. So should be interesting to see what happens there. The first game on the board on Sunday, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Bucs coming in as heavy favorites at -11, over under 50.5. We just got news that Antonio Brown is suspended 3 games for the COVID violations, I believe. And so I know he hasn't been in, but we wanted to see more flow in that Bucs offense, and it felt like Brown coming in could help with the other receivers getting going, as we saw Leonard Fournette and Gronk were kind of the focal point last week. I know it's kind of a shitty Falcons defense, but how much do you think no AB continues to hinder this offense on the Bucs side?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You know that the Falcons have not won a single home game in Atlanta. The only home game they won was in London. And
London.
Yeah, so it's not really. I don't know if you count that as a home game or not. So the Bucs, and I think it was week 1 or week 2. I don't remember correctly, but they kind of just demolished the Falcons. But there were times where Falcons looked kind of good, where their offense was rolling. Cordell Patterson will be back this game. I find that the spread of 11 points is a little too high. I know that the Falcons have one of the worst defenses. I'm not really convinced that I could go either way, like, if the Bucs cover the -11 or not. I think that I'm going to lean +11 Atlanta. Bucs definitely are going to win this game, but I would just lean up +11.
Okay, yeah, that's totally fair. I'm kind of just going to go with just Bucs whooping ass here for multiple reasons. Number one, it's Tom Brady versus the Falcons. Like, if there's one for sure call, it's Tom Brady versus the Falcons. And Tom Brady has a lot to prove. There's this month last month didn't really go well for Tom Brady. And a lot of things pointed towards they need to have Antonio Brown back. Well, he's not going to be back for a while now. So I think there's a lot to prove. As weird as that is, the guy with 7 rings, you would think he has nothing to prove. But I've been listening to some radios and people are starting to question him now. And I think this is a perfect setup for him to kind of just BDE moment for Tom Brady. And historically, the Buccaneers pretty much, take care of business against the Falcons. Last time they played 48-25, like you mentioned. I think it continues, but, you never know. It is the NFL, and Cordell Patterson can single-handedly change things. I just don't think they have enough outside of Cordell Patterson. That game, they had Ridley. This game, they don't have Ridley. It's just a bunch of scrappy dudes trying to make ends meet, and I don't think I think it's going to be an outright demolishment, but we'll see.
Yeah, for our viewers that don't know what BDE is, not me, what would you say that means?
Very strong emphasis on male testosterone usage.
That's fair.
I like that.
What? You cut out there. I think you're covered.
Oh, did I?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Am I? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind. I'm glad you didn't hear it. That was a sign that I shouldn't have said it because I said it out loud, but you guys didn't hear. So it was a sign. I should not have said that. But yeah, like you said, Shovit, the Falcons didn't have trouble scoring against Tampa Bay the last time they played. So if Patterson can continue to be Cordero Patterson, they can put up points. But yeah, it's just like, how long can they keep it up? With the one guy, and Tampa Bay is just going to continue to score. And now with Leonard Fournette kind of being the secret sauce there, like whether he runs it, catches it, whatever, he's getting things done. So I like Tampa Bay to cover -11 there. Next game on the board. This might be my survivor pick because of the news that Shisho you gave me before we started here in the injury segment. With Hopkins and Murray back, the Arizona Cardinals are going to travel to Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears. Arizona comes in at 7.5-point favorites, over under at 44. If they are back, I think that 7.5 is kind of that's too generous of a line. I think the Arizona Cardinals can absolutely stomp the Bears. The Bears in a complete disarray right now. No Allen Robinson again. The running game's kind of been Defense has been What are you guys seeing?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to point out that it's not just the offense that's messed up for the Bears. They're missing Roquan Smith and somebody else that is, how do I explain? Like a 90 overall or plus on Madden from defense. So they're missing some key players on defense, and their offense is already like a shit show. And they're playing against a fully healthy Kyler Murray and fully healthy D-Hop that just want to come out there and play football. This is gonna be tough for me to pick the Bears. Very, very tough.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. You said that the Bears are in a disarray. They're like in all sort of shambles right now. We don't know what's happening with Matt Nagy. Is he going to be there or not? And then we also don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback situation because Justin Fields did practice. So is it Andy Dalton or Justin Fields? Not that has any effect on the outcome. I think the Cardinals still come in and are able to get that 7.5 spread and win the game. Is it Robert Quinn that you're talking about?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Robert Quinn is a pass rusher. He has 11 sacks on the season, which is the 4th highest sack. So that's going to be a big hit on the Bears if he's not playing. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I know, Shisho, you'd mentioned last week or something, DeAndre Hopkins' injury was the hamstring, and that thing can be lingering. Even if they can rest DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray just plays, I still think like this game should get out of hand quickly. Yeah. Kyler's rested for 3-4 weeks now. They're coming off of a bye, and Chicago literally, again, they don't even know who their head coach is going to be next week. I mean, it's a complete two teams in complete opposite directions and opposite ends of the spectrum. And so, I think the Cardinals take care of business there. That should be an easy victory for them. The Chargers are the next game on the board. They're traveling to Cincinnati.
Let me ask you guys a question before we move forward. So the Cardinals are one of 2 teams that rank top 5 in scoring offense and scoring defense. Can you guess who the other team is?
Scoring offense and scoring defense.
Scoring defense means you don't allow too many points.
Yeah. Is it the Packers?
No. That's a good guess. I'm sure they're up there, but no.
Cowboys?
Nope. They allow a lot of points. No, Vikings allow a lot of points too.
Patriots?
No, they don't score enough to be in this category.
Oh.
49ers?
No.
Not Saints? Who scores a lot but doesn't allow a lot? I don't know.
See, isn't this crazy? We just already forgot about this team because they're so full of like uncertainty, even though they're supposed to be dominant.
Panthers? Or the Cowboys? The Bills.
The Bills.
Okay.
How quickly we forget. How quickly.
It's like week to week teams just become afterthoughts, right? It's like the recency bias or like what have you done for me lately mentality.
And this year has been notorious for that. Like if you start researching this deeper, it's crazy how crazy this year is. This might be the craziest year of football I have ever been a part of. This is insane. Like there's no for sure team at all.
No, wide open, and yet teams like the Vikings still can't take advantage.
Yep.
So taking it to the Chargers. They're traveling to Cincinnati this week to take on the Bengals. Expecting a lot of scoring in this game, just looking at the matchup here. Over-under sitting at 50.5 only. Cincinnati coming in at 3-point favorites at home. So basically they're just getting home field when they've proven to be a better, more complete team. What are you guys seeing here? I mean, just on paper, Cincinnati's been giving up a lot of points. The Chargers give up a lot of points. Both teams score on offense. Seems like this is going to be a shootout.
Yeah, it's all kind of playing that way. The question is, which Chargers offense will we see this Sunday? I mean, they've been so inconsistent, but you've seen signs of really good things coming out of this offense. You've got Eckler, you've got Williams, and forgetting their number 1 receiver. What's that?
Keenan Allen,
right, there you go. And so you've got all these options on this team, but yet they still are not consistent in the offense. I think the key to victory is going to be able to stop the Bengals run offense, because with Joe Mixon, I mean, Chargers are dead last in run defense. So I expect them to do the same thing they did last week against the Steelers, keep running the ball, giving the ball to Joe Mixon, and control the clock and not let the Chargers get in the rhythm that we talked about, how they aren't able to get in the rhythm, aren't able to get that offensive flow. And so that's going to be the key for the Cincinnati to win this game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. To piggyback off of that, the Chargers have allowed 24 or more points and 300 or more total yards in 7 straight games, which is the longest active streak in the NFL. So the defense is not helping the offense at all, because the offense can't play how they want to play. They're having to adjust to what their defense is giving them. So it all depends on that. It all depends on if the Chargers defense shows up or not, because I am a firm believer that this offense can ball out at any given day. It's just the situation the offense put in. If they have to force themselves to throw and everything, that's when the errors might happen and whatnot. But if if the defense does their job, hold them to some points, then the Chargers can play a little bit of a mixed game of football rather than just air it out with Herbert.
Yeah, spot on. I think you can see the trend when the Chargers offense don't have as good of games as you expect them to do. What's the other side of the football look like? And it's just a defense getting completely gashed, being on the field too long, and the Chargers being forced to just be throw heavy or be predictable at that point. Being one dimensional doesn't help. It doesn't matter if you're that dynamic of an offense. If the defense knows you're only going to throw the ball, like it's easier to stop. So I expect this game to be a shootout. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers pull off an upset here just because the Bengals defense hasn't been anything impressive. But you're right, Shovit, one of the biggest surprises this season has been Joe Mixon and his continued consistency all season. I mean, when's the drop off going to happen? It just doesn't happen. They just love Joe Mixon, and he runs the ball well, and that offensive line is doing a good job. So it'll be interesting to see if Cincinnati can get a little bit more respect when you only get 3 points at home. As far as being a favorite, you're just getting home field advantage. And the Chargers have been so inconsistent that I wonder why that line is only 3. That's my only question there. But as far as the over-under goes, 50.5 seems like a really, really intriguing over to take. That next game, the NFC North divisional matchup here, our Minnesota Vikings are traveling to the winless Detroit Lions. It's week 13. Yes, they are still freaking winless. 0-10-1. The Lions come in here still searching for their first victory. The Vikings come in at 7-point favorites on the road, over under 46.5. God, can we just not be the team that gives the Lions their first victory? That's all I care about. I don't care how we win. Just don't do it.
But doesn't it make so much sense for that?
It would be the most Viking thing ever. It would be the most Viking thing ever. I mean, that the thing that comes to mind is there was a year, I can't remember what season it was. And I remember, it's so vivid. I was watching in my parents' room. I was a kid. I was watching on like that really small fat TV that my parents had in the Nebraska house. I don't know if you remember it, but first game of the season, the Vikings play the Panthers. Opening kickoff, the Panthers returned for a touchdown and they won that game, right? The Panthers went on to lose 15 games in a row. They were 1-15 that year. Their only victory was against the Vikings week 1. And so I'm just trying not to be the only team that the Lions win this year. And it's tough for us because we play them twice. They literally almost beat us last time, going for 2 with like 30 seconds left. Yeah. They had the lead. So how do we avoid that situation, especially since our offense seems like it's kind of learned in the recent weeks to not take their foot off the gas?
Yeah, you guys are going to have to stop Jamal Williams, right? And the only guy on the receiving side is Josh Reynolds, which you guys should be able to stop. I don't think Jared Goff and Josh Reynolds should be that difficult of a matchup.
Absolutely. And don't forget, Tomlinson is active now, which is our biggest run stopper. And then Michael Pierce.
Pierce as well. Yep.
He's not just active, he's going to play. So we got our defensive line as far as the middle of the line is back. So we still have holes on the outside because, injuries and all this stuff, but the middle, where the run stopping force is, it's back. So very promising. One thing though is very surprising because I remember Shovit earlier. You said give me Adam Thielen against the Lions at any day, but this is a weird stat. Adam Thielen has 2 receiving touchdowns in 14 career games against the Lions.
What?
That's his fewest against any team. So, fewest against any divisional team. So, he probably does well in those games anyways. It just doesn't get in the end zone. Maybe because we don't have to force him in the end zone. But
yeah, that could be. I mean, or this seems like a very heavy Justin Jefferson day is what you're telling me.
Yeah, or we just get whooped. But
well, I hope for my sake, I've got Madison as a backup to Dalvin Cook because Dalvin Cook, he's questionable on ESPN, but I don't know.
Yeah, ESPN is slacking, bro. Slacking.
Don't play him. The heck? He's not gonna play.
He's not going to play, but at least let me put him in the IR spot. Anyways, it's a personal thing for me. But there's this Sukar, you mentioned this guy last weekend who might actually vulture Madison. I'm actually kind of worried about him. Nwangwu?
Yeah. Nwangwu?
I feel like he could
Don't worry. He's not going to vulture you because he's not a vulturing type of back. He'll get a 70-yard run. But we're not going to use him at like the 1 yard line. He's too small. He's he's a speedster.
Yeah. I think if he gets vultured, he'll get vultured. Like Shishod said, he'll bust a 70-yard touchdown run. And if you want to consider that vulturing Madison, then feel free. But it's going to be something with his speed. yeah, it's something with his speed outside in space. It's not going to be goal line situation, but I think Madison's going to have a big game here, man. I mean, we're going to have to run the ball. We know with the Lions, at least, we probably don't have to get cute, which I still hate that mentality. I wish we would go in knowing that like our passing game has been our bread and butter the last couple of weeks. So let's utilize that. And that would be the key to Madison's success when he becomes the complement back. But I just don't want this game to be close. There's no reason this game should be close. We need to get ourselves back to 500 and get back into wild card contention. Because right now, as of the last couple of weeks, we were in the 7th wild card spot. And right now, the Washington football team overtook us after their Monday Night Football win. So Justin Jefferson was named the NFC Player of the Month. So he's been putting up insane numbers. I expect them to get him involved. But again, there's just not enough firepower on the Lions side that we should not be in the same breath as the Detroit Lions. You know, like our offense is too good. Like this should be a 31-7 whooping or 31-10 ass whooping.
There are some, okay, one last thing, and then we're probably gonna have to move on. But so there's only one quarterback in the league that has this many wins versus one opponent since 2018, and it's Kirk Cousins versus the Lions. He's 7-0 against the Lions. He's never lost against the Lions, and I don't expect that to happen. So
I love that. That's my favorite Kirk stat that's ever existed. He's never lost to the Detroit Lions. All right, let's go. So I like that. I like that big time. The Giants are the next game on the board, guys. They're traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Both teams coming in with 7 losses, but the Dolphins have 5 wins after stacking up a couple of recent victories. They're coming in at 4-point favorites. I think I said last week that was like one of the few games they were going to be favored, but they're getting some love now, and now they're favored by even a little bit more points. Over under sitting at 40.5. Are the Dolphins on the up and up here?
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm on the Dolphins train. I'm going to go Dolphin chirp for the rest of the week if they win this game. They're still the 32nd ranked defense, believe it or not. On NFL.com, they're still just 32nd. So they were that bad to start the season off that even though the last 4 games, they've allowed 17 points or fewer. That's the longest streak. That's their longest streak since 2010. Okay. So they're actually they just played the best defensive football of their in the last decade. That's just a fact. And they're still ranked 32nd in defense. That's how bad they were, but that's very misleading because the way the eye test watching the last 4 games, they're playing phenomenal. They're scaring really good quarterbacks. So, and the Giants are the farthest thing from having a really good quarterback. So I'm going to hop on this train for one more week at least. Although the Giants, we are going to be in New York, and the Giants do like to play spoiler. You know, that's all they're doing at this point. I wouldn't be too surprised if the Giants won, but I also expect the Dolphins to win this game.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins have definitely been consistent in the last 3 games, and Tua has been definitely consistent. His completion rate is, I want to say, like over 70% in all the games, and definitely getting the, he's been accurate. But the Giants have kind of more to fight for, I want to say. Here's something interesting. So the Giants are 4-7. They'll be tied for the final NFC spot in the wild card playoff. In the wild card, but a series of events need to happen, and I have those series of events. Okay,
nice.
So the Cowboys need to beat the Saints, the Raiders need to beat Washington, the Bucs need to beat the Falcons, the Lions need to beat the Vikings.
Oh hell no! Cancel this. You're stop talking. No, I'm kidding.
And the Jets need to beat the Eagles. So the last 2 I think are tough. It's kind of funny that the Giants have to go for the Cowboys for them to be in wild card. So, the thing is they've got a new offensive coordinator. He hasn't really proven himself since he didn't really prove himself last week against the Eagles, didn't score many points. So this is going to have to be that strong bounce back game, and they've got something to play for. Could see a surprise upset by the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, both teams are technically still in contention, right? So I think the Dolphins went from early season tanking to now winners of 3 in a row. So all of a sudden they're like teeter-tottering. Are we like tanking, or are we almost in like the wild card spot? So at this point, I expect the Dolphins to try to go for it as well. So both teams can have a lot to play for. So it should be an intriguing matchup. With the Giants continue to have that carousel of injuries, though you just never know who's actually going to be on the field healthy for them in what week. So at least with the Dolphins, you're seeing some consistency in Tua, who's continued to kind of slightly prove me wrong. I wasn't the biggest Tua believer, but he's looked good the last couple of weeks. And then the surgence or the emergence of Jalen Waddle, if you will, he looks like a bona fide star right now. And so good for him. And obviously the compliment to the wild card spot with Myles Gaskin over there running all the wildcat formations in the red zone. So sneaking all those touchdowns. So it should be good. I expect the Dolphins to actually win this game. 4 points seems like a lot. Could be a field goal game. We'll see. The next game on the board should show Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are taking their talents to the New York Jets here in New Jersey. Eagles come in at 6.5 point favorites, over under at 45. Eagles need to get another W under their belt. I mean, the Jets are an opportunity to win. You mentioned they're not having to travel much to end their season, and they're still in the fighting wild card spot, right? 5-7. The football team's 5-6 right now, leading that race. So half game out. What are you guys seeing? Especially if Hurts doesn't play, is this going to be an upset spot here?
Yeah, if Hurts doesn't play, they're very much similar teams. I mean, they're not that much different right now, actually. The Jets are 3-8, Philadelphia's 5-7. Yeah, we think the Eagles are so much better, but it's a 2-game difference. Like, they're not that far apart. It's still we're week 13. I mean, we still have many more days of football to go. And at this point, like, let me tell you a few stats that make you believe that the Eagles will probably win this game, and then let me hear what you guys think about that. So the Eagles are number one team overall rushing in the league, right? The Jets are 30th in rushing, okay? The Jets are also 30th in defense. So just knowing those three numbers, you can kind of get a game plan going, right? So the Eagles start off just running the ball like crazy on this really, really weak deep run defense. And then they're going to have a lead. Let's say it'll be like 14-0 by the time Jets score. And then the Jets are going to have to air it out. And over the last 3 weeks, the Eagles are ranked in the top 6 as far as defending the pass goes. So using that formula, I don't see how the Jets going to win this game. But again, if Hurts doesn't play or if the angle doesn't allow him to run, it's a whole different offense. And then I can't predict what's going to happen with that.
Yeah. So since 1973, the Jets have never beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
1973.
What?
Yeah,
That's
1970.
insane. How many times have they played?
Yeah, 11 straight times.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like
11.
Tom Brady and the Falcons. Tom Brady's beat the Falcons 9 straight times. He's 9-0 against the Falcons.
Yeah, so I mean, the Jets, if they win, it'd be once. And I don't know. It's just gonna be incredible to see the Jets win. But yeah, I think the Eagles should win this game. I saw this funny tweet this week where Devontae Smith was next to a trash can catching the ball, and the tweet was, "Hey, look, it's Jalen Reagor and Devontae Smith catching the ball together." Yeah, Reagor.
Yeah, I mean, where's the lie though, right? Like, where's the lie there?
Yeah.
Jalen Reagor is trash.
He is trash, but I think that the Eagles will have a bounce back game. Last game against the Giants was pretty bad. They weren't able. Jalen Hurts threw 3 picks, wasn't able to get anything from the offense, but just show, like you said, if they can get the run game established like they have to win the games in the prior weeks, that's the formula for the Jets to win.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like you said, with Jalen Hurts' ankle, both the backup running backs on the injury report, the only healthy guy we're seeing is Miles Sanders. Like, is this going to be like a 25 carry Miles Sanders day? Like, are we actually going to see that for the first time ever?
Maybe. I think Howard is healthy enough to get carries, though. I think because it looks like they're rushing him back a little bit earlier than expected because of all these other injuries to other people. So yeah, I think it's going to be game scripting. If they start off 14-0, they're probably just going to give the ball to Miles Sanders. If it's a closer game, then they'll probably spread the carries amongst their backs. So we'll see.
Yeah, should be a good one. Let's take it to the Indianapolis Colts. They're going to be traveling to Houston to take on the Texans this week. Houston comes in at 2-9. The Colts are 6-6 after that tough loss to the Buccaneers. Colts getting a lot of love here, 10-point favorites on the road, over under 45.5. A big spot here for the Colts to bounce back after that tough loss to the Bucs. Expecting a big Jonathan Taylor day here at the Texans. Why shouldn't this just be a complete big dominant Colts victory here?
Yeah, the 10 points is not that much love. I feel like they should get like more love than that 10 points. The Texans just lost against the Jets last week. Tyrod Taylor had 5 sacks, right? I don't see how the Texans will beat the Colts with Jonathan Taylor doing Jonathan Taylor things. The Colts have already played the Texans. Then I forget what week it was, but sometime in October, it was 31-3 Colts. So the only difference now is that the game is in Houston and not Indianapolis. Boo-hoo. I don't care.
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Colts win.
Yeah, Colts kind of have to win this game because after their bye week 14, they play 3 straight teams that are currently over 500. So it's gonna be a tough end to them, and they don't really have that great of a record. They're average, right? They're 6-6. You would have thought they look like a much better team than the record shows, but this is kind of like a must win for them. You can't lose to the Texans and expect to play like all these above 500 teams and win all those games. So they kind of need to win this one to at least maybe lose like one or two of those and still be okay. But yeah, there's a very simple formula here. I just told you guys the defensive ranks on the Jets and the Eagles game, but the Texans are worse than the Jets in almost every category. They're 32nd on offense. They're 32nd in rushing. They're 31st in passing. They're 26th on defense. They're just abysmal right now. They're probably the worst team. I would watch Lions versus Texans and bet on the Lions 100 out of 100 times. So all that being said, they're facing a run-heavy team. I just don't see how they can sustain this. But out of all the shitty teams, they have been the most surprising as far as like, pulling out crazy defensive stands and, just scaring people a little bit. The Texans do tend to do that. I just don't think there's enough firepower on the offense to keep up.
Yeah, when your best player is Rex Burkhead, I don't think you got a lot going for you. I love Rex Burkhead. I love him he was a former Nebraska Cornhusker great, but he cannot be your best player on your team and expect to do well. So that's going to be a tough test for the Colts. I mean, for the Texans, the Colts should come away victorious there and move themselves to 7-6. The next game on the board, the Washington football team, they're traveling to Vegas to take on the Raiders. Washington football team surprising here at 5-6 in a wild card spot. Raiders are 6-5, getting 2.5 points at home, over under 49.5. Raiders have been very, very big letdowns, very inconsistent this year. This seems like a really, really ideal spot if Washington football team is for real and resurging to come away with an upset. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Washington football. I mean, the Raiders are one of the most inconsistent teams that are out there. Like you can never know what to get with the Raiders. Sometimes they look terrible, like they look terrible against the Eagles, and then they come back and beat the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. So I'm not really sure what to make of this game. I mean, Washington football team is doing really well. Heineke is performing well, and so it's a tough spot. I'm gonna lean Washington football team, but to be honest, this is a coin toss. I don't know which way to go.
Yeah. So they've won 3 straight. Washington football team has won 3 straight. However, they're 0-4 in games against AFC teams this season. I'm not sure why that is. There could be some weird stats that could benefit or prove that, but I don't have those stats. And the Raiders have allowed 30 or more points in 3 straight games. So the Raiders aren't going down a good path here. Their defense is starting to get worse. Their offense is hit or miss, like you said. So it's kind of like a Chargers situation. I feel like they're very similar. They're very similar in like you can't really predict the outcome of the game just because, just from like the pregame analytics like we're doing right now. This game could very well go any direction. You have a very bipolar Raiders team, and then you have a surging Washington football team that's still ranked 3rd lowest as far as pass defense goes, right? So if there's one thing the Raiders can attack, it's pass defenses. So there is room for the Raiders to exploit this surging Washington football team defense, and it's going to have to be one of those Derek Carr days. So from a fantasy perspective, I wouldn't be too shy starting Derek Carr, even though the Washington football team has come out and like scared a lot of these great quarterbacks. This is a classic Derek Carr situation. Not many people believe in him anymore, and he's kind of like on a downturn. But the matchup is amazing, and I think from a fantasy perspective, if you're teeter-tottering on who to start, I think Carr is a viable 18 to 22 points guy this week.
Yeah, I like both of you guys' situations in potentially starting Antonio Gibson. I think Antonio Gibson is going to be a great game. He's going to have a great game. I mean, last week it was the Seattle Seahawks, but was that not one of the probably top 2 or 3 best games or best Antonio Gibson has looked? Yeah, he looked good. Like he actually ran the ball well. And so I don't know if they're building on that. I don't know if Seattle defense is just that bad. But the Raiders' run defense isn't anything great either. So I'm looking for Antonio, especially with McKissick on the injury report, right? Isn't JD on the injury report?
He's out for game.
Yeah. I mean, he's the only guy. I mean, if there's a game for Antonio Gibson to have his, biggest or best game of the year, it's this one.
Watch them get into the red zone, and Patterson come in at the red zone, and Vulture Gibson. Because I think that happened last.
It happened once. It happened once.
It was one too many times for me. Okay,
still got PTSD from it.
Yeah,
so that may also happen too.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good spot. It's a good spot for Washington if they really, if they are legitimate contenders. They were a team last year that sneaked in like that with Taylor Heineke and played a really good game in the playoffs. So if they can get back to 500, all of a sudden they're right back in the thick of things. And Oakland, or I guess Vegas, Vegas, even at 6-5, they just don't scare me. They're too inconsistent. Their defense isn't there at any point. Like, you just can't rely on Derek Carr the way you can rely on top tier quarterbacks, because there's going to be weeks where he just doesn't prove it or he doesn't come to play. So it's unfortunate, but it is the reality of the Vegas Raiders. The Jacksonville Jaguars are traveling to LA to take on the Rams here. Tough spot for the Jags as the Rams are looking to bounce back. At 7-4, they're favored by 13 points, over under 48. The Jags have looked so bad. I mean, what on God's earthly way is what would it take for them to actually come away with an upset here? Because there's literally, this is a Doctor Strange 14 million different scenarios in your head, and there's not a single one in my head that the Jaguars beat the Rams this game.
Yeah. First of all, the Jaguars are gonna have to start scoring more than 20 points a game, right? They're second in the league in the amount of games with less than 20 points scored. So that can't happen against the Rams. The Rams are pissed off. The Rams are coming off of multiple disappointing losses. Stafford definitely has stuff to prove, and OBJ probably knows the playbook now, right? So, and they got a little bit of a chemistry going on last week. So there are no signs that tell me the Rams will blow this game. There's just no way. Like, this is probably my for sure pick of the week. It just doesn't make any sense. The Jaguars have lost 15 straight games versus NFC teams, which is the longest active streak in the NFL. And they've scored fewer than 20 points in 8 games this season. And none of that equals to beating a Super Bowl caliber team like the Rams.
Looks like Shohei found a survivor pick.
I wish. I think I may have already picked the Rams. I think I'm not sure.
I don't think you have.
I don't think. Oh, okay. Well, there he goes. No, the Jaguars. You're so right. So they have not scored more than 23 points in a single game, and going against the Rams, like, unless your defense is really that good that you can stop the Rams, I don't see how the Jaguars are going to come out on top. Yeah. So Rams, 13 points. I'm actually going to take minus 13 in Rams. I see this being just a blowout.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like you said, the Jags can't score points. The Rams score points. Even if the Rams defense isn't that great, the Jags still can't score points. It doesn't matter what defense they played this year. And unless we get some kind of weird Buffalo game where the Bills only scored 6 points and like we get some kind of, it's like the Rams beat themselves. But situationally, they've already lost 3 straight. They're not in a position to beat themselves against a team like a Jags. It's not like a letdown spot. It's more like we need to bounce back and get our shit together spot. So you're right. I actually absolutely expect to see like a 41-10 romp fest.
One little one of the 14 million scenarios, there is one little possible scenario. So the Rams have allowed more than 28 points in 3 straight games. Very small sample size, but the defense definitely has not looked good in the last 3 games. But that's probably because Stafford is putting them in bad situations by throwing pick sixes and whatnot, because he's thrown pick 6 in 3 straight games. So, I guess 3 straight games before the last game. But there's 0 to no chance the Jaguars win this game, but the Rams defense will have to step it up a little bit.
Yep, should be good. Next game, show it. Your Steelers are hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Steelers coming in at 5-5-1, still clawing for a playoff spot. Ravens are 8-3 now, solidified themselves atop that division there, getting 4.5 points on the road, over under 44. Show it. Where's your head at with this game?
Yeah, the only good thing is it's at Steelers. It's a Heinz Field. It's a divisional matchup, so it's
gonna be a lot of catch up.
Yeah, definitely a lot of catch up. No mayonnaise. So maybe that's like the only bright side. Another not so bright side is Joe Hayden is still out. Freiermuth will play. So Muth is Muth. But I just don't see how unless we can establish a run game with Najee Harris, and get him going, which we kind of haven't been able to do much of this last couple of games. So he's got to be the key to victory there. But other than that, Ravens might just come out on top on this game as well.
Yeah. Here's one thing that might help you out a little bit. The Ravens have 16 points or fewer in 3 straight games for the first time since week 13 and 15 of 2015. So they're not doing too well on offense. Let's be honest with that. And then the Big Ben has the Ravens number. He's won last 6 of their 7 starts against the Ravens. So they have like Mike Tomlin and Big Ben should figure out a formula to beat the Ravens. One other thing kind of pointing in the Ravens direction is that so the Ravens are actually really, really good against the run. They've allowed only one player to rush for 60 yards or more this season.
Wow.
You guys know who that is?
Jonathan Taylor.
Nope.
Damn it.
Jonathan Taylor. Do they play?
Joe Mixon.
Nope.
What?
Not the top 2 running backs.
What the? Some rando? Some rando? Is it
Yeah,
a rando?
It is a rando. It's Dalvin Cook. Yeah, so the Ravens' run defense is pretty stingy. So, these Freiermuth end zone plays have to happen. You got to get some Claypool action going on, and that should set up some Najee runs. But if you just try to force it with Najee, I mean, the Ravens are pretty stout against that game plan.
Who did the Steelers just play? That was a huge shootout where Big Ben's arm looked good. What was the team that they just played against?
That was
Chargers.
3 weeks ago, right? Oh,
Chargers?
Yeah.
Chargers. Okay. Chargers. So the thing about the Ravens is their run defense, like you mentioned, has been they've been good, but their pass defense is bad.
Yeah.
They give up. Marlon Humphreys looks awful on the outside.
Yeah.
Like they're giving up big plays. And like you said, their offense is kind of in a disarray. Like Lamar's probably had his worst stretch as a pro these last 4-ish games or so, where they've pretty much just been forcing Lamar Jackson to throw, but bringing so much pressure that he doesn't have enough time to really make progression. So he's having to be smarter pre-snap. And I think that's kind of been the exploitation of Lamar Jackson so far these last 4 games. And so the Steelers probably know the Ravens, know Lamar Jackson better than a lot of teams just because they play each other. And like we talked about, the Steelers are looking to bounce back if they stop the run. I'm expecting kind of a Big Ben type of game that he had against the Chargers. Like I think the over-under is only sitting at 44. The Steelers defense, even if the playmakers they have, they still give up a ton of points. So this is a great spot for the Ravens offense to bounce back. But the Ravens pass defense isn't going to be able to stop Deontay Johnson or Pat Freiermuth, in my opinion. So I think I'm looking at an upwards of a 20 plus point performance. So the over-under at 44 seems shockingly low to me.
Yeah, TJ Watt's not playing either. He's on the COVID list, I believe. So
44, should we hammer that now? Do we all take that bet? Over under 44. That seems so low to me.
Yeah. Real quick, you did mention the Steelers tend to play well against Lamar Jackson. They do. And here's some stats. Lamar Jackson has 3 passing touchdowns and 5 interceptions in only 2 career starts versus the Steelers. So that's not a good sign for Lamar Jackson. He needs to figure out a way.
Yeah, small sample size, but also you're coming off a tough stretch and you're playing against a team that has had your number historically. So should be an interesting game. The Steelers need that victory badly to stay contention in the playoffs. So the next game on the board is another divisional matchup, but in the NFC here, the 49ers, who have been surging and just on fire, they're traveling to the 12th man to take on the struggling Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are now 3-8 with Russell Wilson and his shitty ass finger. 49ers come in at 6-5. 49ers getting 3.5-point favorites at the 12th man, over under 45.5. What do you guys think?
Yeah, with no so for the 49ers, Deebo Samuel, I think he is out, right? But I don't think that should help.
I
don't think he's out yet. Yeah.
But
they haven't ruled him out yet, but
questionable. But if he's out, then Elijah Mitchell should take his place. And then I think that's just a feast day for Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, because more targets, more possibilities for them to get the ball. Looking at the Seahawks, they look terrible against Washington football team. There were some plays where is Russ back? Is he back? And then there's plays oh wait, no, he's not back. He's not back. Just kidding. And so I'm not sure how the Seahawks can get their offense rolling, with the injury that Russell Wilson's going through.
You know what when he plays, it almost makes me think that some of those throws do look like Russ, right? There was a couple of bombs to Lockett. You're like, oh, he's back. Yeah. It's almost like the times he can make good throws, he has to put more pressure with the finger on the ball, and it's probably painful, right? That's probably why he can't do it every single play. So in my head, I'm just he's picking and choosing when he's getting to make these tough throws and not. But you can't succeed that way. That's too much pressure. It's too much pain for him. I obviously don't know what type of pain he's in, but we know Russell Wilson has not dropped off his play from 3 weeks, just with a little bit of a finger issue. So, if he's literally having to pick and choose his spots, the NFL is already difficult enough. You only get a certain amount of plays to be successful. It's just such a handicap to be throwing the ball the way he is. You can clearly see he's not throwing the football correctly.
Yeah, I agree with everything there. This is a story of two different teams going in two different trajectories right now. And I don't know if the momentum can be stopped for the 49ers versus a team that's playing so bad like the Seahawks. Let me give you some stats on why the 49ers will probably destroy the Seahawks, and then I'll tell you why that may not happen. So the 49ers have scored 30 or more points in 4 of their last 5 games. They're killing it. They have the formula. They have the best running formula in the league right now. Their identity has reached its full potential. That being said, Debo's out, right? So they can't use those. Debo Samuel is currently the number 1 running back in the league with the most yards per attempt right now at this moment. They don't have that anymore. So they can't utilize those touchdowns that he's getting so easily. So they have to stick with the running. And they have to throw to their tight ends when these play actions happen. And George Kittle is also trending in the wrong direction over the last 3 weeks. His targets, receptions, and receiving yards have decreased in each of those 3 games. They can't let that happen. If there's no Debo Samuel, they can't ride this trend in the wrong direction and expect to win. And then Jimmy Garoppolo is playing the best football of his life. He's had over a 90% 90 or more passer rating in 5 straight games. That's the longest streak of his career. So these are all stats why the 49ers are playing so well, right? And then Russell Wilson, there's only we always keep mentioning Russell Wilson. There's some sort of bias that I can't figure out which one it is. I think it's anchoring bias, why we give Russell Wilson so much slack, right? He's proven so much, but he's playing like literally one of the worst quarterbacks in the league right now. He's absolutely abysmal. The Seahawks have converted in 32.5% of third downs attempts this season. That's the lowest rate in the NFL. And it's just bad. They can't do anything. But we're still like, it's Russell Wilson, right? Russell Wilson. He's 16-4 versus San Francisco in his career, which is the most wins versus any of his opponents. So he does know how to beat that logo, but I don't know if he can beat this series of people that make up this logo this year. I don't know if he can do that.
Yeah, 3.5 points seems really low then with that formula. Like the Seattle defense has been awful. Their offense can't score points. Why are the 49ers only favored 3.5 when the last 3-4 weeks we've seen their offense just be absurd, like so good?
It's got to be how Pete Carroll just beats freaking 49ers all the time, right? It's got to be something along those lines. But yeah,
I like San Francisco 3.5 to be honest with you. That should be interesting. It's a divisional game. I mean, at that point, if Seattle loses and they have 9 losses again, I think this should have been the week, but I know they're not just going to rest Russell Wilson if he can play and get better and healthy, but he doesn't have anything left to prove there anymore. I just think if he in fact can just rest and get better, they're not going to make the playoffs at this point. There's no reason to continue to throw him out there.
They did beat the 49ers earlier this year, 28-10.
Before his injury.
Yeah. 28-21 in October 2nd. So that was before his injury. So yeah, that's basically it. Out of their 3 wins, they have beaten the 49ers once this year.
Okay. Maybe that's why that spreads the way it is, but
possibly.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that takes us into Sunday Night Football. The Broncos are traveling to Kansas City this week to take on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 7-4. Broncos coming in at a surprising 6-5, teetering with 500, teetering with fake news or real news. The Chiefs are getting a ton of love here. 9.5 points at home, over under 47. Chiefs had a bye this past week. Is that why I feel like I haven't seen them on TV in a while?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I haven't seen their players in a while. Yeah, they had a bye. Okay, that makes sense. Chiefs, coming back off of a bye, rested, healthy. CEH is healthy. I mean, the Broncos, maybe no Melvin Gordon. As somebody who never had a say in that backfield because I didn't have Gordon or Williams. If Gordon doesn't play, I'm actually really excited to see what this Javonte Williams experiment's going to look like because the guy looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of Javonte Williams this week because the game plan needs to be to run the ball, run on this Kansas City Chiefs and just control the clock so that you're not putting Patrick Mahomes and the offense, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, guys like that out on the field and to score points against you. The Denver is 9th in overall defense as well, so that's a good bright spot for them as well. So it's going to be tough. 9.5 is a lot of points. Kansas City Chiefs are rolling. So, but I do like the Broncos' chances. I don't think that this is something that's unattainable. I think that if they run the ball, control the clock, they can win this game.
Yes, that is the formula there. The Chiefs have allowed fewer than 20 points in 4 straight games, which they won all 4 of them. So the defense kind of looks like it turned around a little bit. Because I mean, when you have an offense like the Chiefs and you're allowing less than 20 points, those are wins 9 out of 10 times, if not 10 out of 10 times. Because the Chiefs offense has stopped turning the ball over. They, like I mentioned before, during their downward spiral, they were still moving the ball. They never had problems moving the ball. They were moving the ball every single time. It was just like they had like a minimum of 3 turnovers each of those games, and you can't win games like that when you're in close games. So they've eliminated those turnovers, at least for the meantime, and they're also playing good defense and using that theory alone, and they're at home. And and Patrick Mahomes is 7-0 in his career against the Broncos. And Andy Reid is 19-3 as a head coach coming off bye weeks. So that's a lot of things. That's a lot of things pointing towards like dominance. However, there is one man by the name of Teddy Bridgewater. He's got over 100 passer rating in each of the 6 wins this year, and sub 100 in all of the losses. So it all depends on him. Are you going to use that running game to your advantage and stretch the field with these dynamic receivers that you just paid like 4 years worth of money to that they didn't even utilize last game, right? How are you going to sign 2 receivers re-sign 2 receivers like during this year and then fail to use them, right? That just can't work. So out of all the nice things I said about the Chiefs, there's only one nice thing I could say about the Broncos, and that's utilize the run to set up some plays that Teddy Bridgewater can make and sustain that 100 passer rating so they can possibly win this game.
Yeah, I think 9.5 points is too much respect for the Chiefs. I know their defense has stepped it up the last 4 weeks, but like we mentioned, their run defense isn't great, and Denver likes to run the ball. And so with Javonte Williams being kind of the horse, and he's fast and he's elusive, and their receiving core is good. I mean, I saw another stat. You had mentioned like Tim Patrick has the most amount of targets or something without a drop. There was another stat recently that said like in single coverage, he has like the 3rd highest passer rating, the most receptions, and no drops. I mean, that dude's like a under the radar stud, and he's the 3rd receiver on the depth chart, which shows you how talented the receiving core can be or is. And so we just need them to be unleashed. And with the Chiefs defense, albeit they've played well recently, the Broncos have a decent formula with their defense, with their run game that bodes well for a closer game than 9.5 points. So I would personally like Denver at plus 9.5 to keep this close, to be honest. But final, any more thoughts on that game?
No, I don't think so. I think we've pretty much hit everything. I mean, yeah, the Chiefs are probably not going to slow down on offense for the rest of the year. So it's going to be the same story for the rest of the year. It's going to be a lot of Kelsey, a lot of Hill. It's just the running back situation. It's still kind of up for grabs, but I think CEH is probably going to take that role back.
Yeah, I think they're just naturally assuming he's the lead back there. And now that he's healthy, it's him. That takes us into Monday Night Football with probably the best matchup on the board, in my opinion. The New England Patriots are traveling to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. Big divisional spot, playing for pretty much number 1 in the division because the Patriots come in 8-4, Buffalo's 7-4. Buffalo is favored at home by 3. Interesting. Over under 43. Shit. I mean, this is kind of the, I mean, I know that we probably shouldn't say this is a prove it week for the Patriots because they've done nothing but prove it at 8-4, but I mean, I don't know. This seems like the biggest test. Divisional game. This is playing for number one spot in your division. And Buffalo was coming into the season the favorites of that division, right? So does this seem like a big prove it spot for the Patriots? Because if they win and they're at 9-4 in that division, I mean, at that point you're having Super Bowl aspirations. I don't know if anything less even makes sense.
No, 100% agreed. I mean, the Bills are a pretty good defense, right? Their pass defense is better than their rush defense. So with that being said, I mean, it's gonna be a tough matchup for the Patriots, but I think their formula is gonna be still the same formula that's been throughout their 6-game winning streak, which is run the ball, give the ball to Harris, give the ball to Stevenson, and then have some options when you do, play actions and passes to Bourne and things like that. So yeah, I actually like the Patriots here. The Bills are also out with Tre'Davious White, who tore his ACL last week. So that's your number 1 cornerback. So if you can establish the run, you probably have some deep bombs that you can throw with their number 1 cornerback out. So I like the Patriots here.
Yeah, here's some fun facts for you. Each of the Bills' last 14 wins that's passed this year have been more than 10 points. So they don't play around with winning. Like when they're winning by a lot. The only problem is the Patriots like to keep things close when they lose. When they win, they also win outright. But if they're losing, they like to keep a close game. So that being said, it's going to be hard to predict how this game goes. And here's another reason why this game is going to be hard to predict how it goes. So a lot of us, this is probably going to be it's probably like a split. If we just poll the United States and say, who do you think is going to win this game? It's going to be like 45-55 probably. And there's no wrong answer here. However, this is the 15th matchup between a number one scoring defense, right? And a number one total defense, right? Scoring defense is New England. Total defense is Buffalo. Since 1990, this is the 15th matchup. The number one total defense, Bills, the number one total defense ends up winning 11 of the 14 previous matchups. If it's just a defensive battle. So that's just something to keep track of. Total defenses include yardages, passing yards, rushing yards, all of that. Whereas scoring defense is just the points. So that tells you that it's not always just about the points. The total defense matters, and that's what the Bills are better than the Patriots at. This is going to be one of those Mac Jones prove it games. Poor guy. He's going to have a lot of these moving forward just because they're such a force to be reckoned with. When you're 8-4, everybody's waiting for your downfall, right? And when you have a rookie quarterback at helm, he has to prove it every time he goes out to play, and he's done nothing but prove himself. Another thing is the Bills are very good at forcing turnovers, and Mac Jones, we praise his security a lot. He never really fumbles and stuff, but he has thrown like 8 interceptions, right, this year. That's still a significant amount. And if there's any team to exploit those things, it is the Bills. But Shova did mention that Tre'Davious White is out. Tre'Davious White being out, you would just think that, number one cornerback out, but that's not it. He's actually the best number one cornerback in the league. There's only 2 cornerbacks that have been targeted 50 or more times that have not allowed a touchdown, and Tre'Davious White is one of them. I could quiz you guys for the other name, but I don't think you would get it.
Really? It's like that out there?
Oh, yeah. It's so out there that, I have no faith.
AJ Terrell?
Nope.
AJ Terrell or whatever? No?
Nope. No faith. Should I just say it? Yeah, we're just going to waste time.
Yeah.
He's from the New York Jets.
What? James Bradbury?
No. It's Michael Carter II.
What?
There's 2 Michael Carters on the Jets. So, yeah. And this guy hasn't allowed – these 2 players are the only players that have been targeted 50 or more times that have not allowed a touchdown. So that's a huge deal. The Bills are playing with a huge disadvantage, and I'm sure Bill Belichick has a formula for that.
Yeah, look for a big game from Jacoby Myers or Kendrick Bourne or some shit like that.
Kendrick Bourne, man. Kendrick Bourne has taken over as I watched some of his highlights the other day, just looking back at college. Dude, his awareness on the field is like Antonio Brown level. That's Tony is really good at making people miss, but this Kendrick Bourne balancing act, you just got to watch. I'll send you guys some clips later, but it's shit that normal receivers wouldn't do. And I saw Kendrick Bourne make that. So I have some faith in Kendrick Bourne moving forward for his career.
Yeah. Mac Jones has done a good job spreading the ball, right? Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Henry's become a red zone weapon big time. All he does is catch touchdowns. And then the running game has continued to be good. He gets the dump offs when he can. It's almost like, again, 2001 Tom Brady has entered the helm, and that's pretty much what it is with Mac Jones right now. So, I'm very excited to see this game. This is a big, big matchup.
You mentioned Hunter Henry. His wife is due for a delivery around that same time as well. So he's come out and said that if the baby is going to come, I guess, on that day, be delivered on that day, then he's not going to play and he's going to go.
Oh, wow. Is that a shot at Carson Wentz? Because Carson Wentz said, even if my baby is born, this was 2 Sundays ago, and he missed his baby being born because he went to his game. And the interview before the game was like, what would you do if your baby's being born? And he was like, yeah, I'm not missing my game. So
wow,
damn,
football is life.
Yeah, that's a little too much. That's there's a real life right there, and then there's football life, and I guess
it must not be his firstborn, because for Hunter Henry, it's the firstborn child.
That makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot more sense.
Could be it.
Yeah, that's the last game. That's the last game on the board. That's going to be Monday night for us. It's a big slate. Week 13. Again, there's 18 weeks this year, so we only have 5 more weeks left. God damn, it's wrapping up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Let's jump in and wrap things up if you guys don't have anything with our survivor picks.
Yeah, let's do it. You first, right?
Yeah, I guess I go first this week. I am still 12-0, guys. Have not lost yet. Holy shit, it's getting crazy. This week, I really, really think I want to take the Cardinals. I've been very confident. If Kyler Murray and Hopkins are back, I think that's a great matchup. We thought they were going to be back recently before too, and they haven't played. So I'm always worried that they're going to be like last minute Colt McCoy. But I'm going to take the Cardinals. Give me the Cardinals on the road against the Bears this week.
Okay, cool. I guess it's my turn, and I am shocked. I actually have not picked this team yet. I have not picked the Buccaneers. And as much as I've been raving about Tom Brady whooping Falcons, I guess I'm going to choose them as my survivor pick.
I like it. Brady on the road against the Falcons, 28-3.
I love it, man. I wish there were more weeks of football so I can come back because I'm 7-5. I wish there was like 30
You
weeks
still come
of
back.
football.
According to 6 games left, like you could totally,
If I just lose out, it's possible.
which isn't impossible.
And you could tie, and then we could do like this playoff thing. But moving forward with survivor picks, I am gonna pick the Los Angeles Rams against the Jaguars. 13-point spread
at home.
Yeah.
God, we have such easy picks this week. Holy crap!
Yeah, as long as Kyler plays, I feel very good about mine. If it's Colt McCoy, not so much.
I have a feeling that the Buccaneers are gonna lose now. It may or may not have to do anything with Sasha's pick. Shishot's pick.
Oh, wow, that's ballsy because I think it's gonna be a rampage.
No, I think so too. I'm just being hopeful.
That's it, guys. That's the episode. That's episode 25, week 13 preview. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow. Time to flight.
12:30. I think we get there. We leave here like 7 or something.
Yep.
Damn, that's a 1 hour time difference. What do you guys got downloaded for the flights? You guys gonna be watching anything?
No, but the Only Playbook podcast will be up, and I will be listening to that on the flight.
I love it. What's that called? Where you put your like SoundCloud or something? Like you put it in your SoundCloud. Like you're having a conversation. No, is that what it is? No, it's called something like. Gosh, I can't think of it. Whatever. This is going to take too long, but we'll think of it off the record. But appreciate you guys tuning in. That's episode 25. We'll be back on Monday, recapping the weekend, recapping the games, recapping what we can remember from this weekend because it's going to be pretty wild. Thank you so much. We're the Only Playbook. We'll see you guys next time.